There's this very specific kind of modern anxiety that I think a lot of people are dealing with right
Well,
now.
definitely. I hear about it all the time.
Right. It's like you're sitting at your desk, maybe you're just staring at a blinking cursor, or you're deep in some complex spreadsheet.
Yeah, just trying to get your work done.
Exactly. And you read yet another headline about the latest artificial intelligence breakthrough.
And it feels like they happen every single day now.
They really do. And somewhere in the back of your mind, this creeping thought just appears like, is this thing coming for my job?
It's a completely understandable reaction, honestly.
Yeah, we've all felt it. There's this widespread, almost heavy fear that we are all about to be replaced by lines of code that, well, they don't need coffee breaks or sleep.
Right. When you look at the sheer velocity of the technological change we are experiencing right now, it really feels like the ground is shifting under our feet almost daily.
But what if we have this entirely backward? Because today, we are not doing a doom and gloom deep dive.
No, not at all.
Instead, this is going to be your ultimate aha moment. We've been looking through some fascinating research recently, specifically coming out of the construction and engineering world.
Which I know might sound a bit niche at first.
Yeah, exactly. But bear with me. They have been grappling with massive technological shifts through something called building information modeling.
Right, BIM for short.
Right. And buried in those industry insights, along with some deeply analytical essays on human empowerment, is this brilliant visual framework called the Diamond Process Cycle.
It's a really incredible model.
It completely changes the conversation. It reveals why AI won't actually replace professionals, but rather how it is going to fundamentally redefine what makes you valuable in the first place. So what does this all mean?
Well, to figure out what our future value actually looks like, we have to stop looking at AI as this magic box.
Right.
And take a really hard, honest look at the mechanics of what it is actually good at doing. And that is where this diamond process cycle framework comes in.
Okay, so paint a picture of this diamond for us.
Sure. So picture a diamond shape, but split right down the middle. This model separates machine work from human work.
Makes sense.
If you look at the right side of this diamond, the machine side, which they call the assistance aspect, you notice a very specific trend. It's all about the progression of execution.
Right. The sources outline it like a pipeline. It starts with gathering massive amounts of data and defining a problem.
Exactly.
And then it moves into modeling and simulating different scenarios. From there, it goes into prototyping, followed by automation, and finally it ends with mass scaling and predicting future outcomes based on all that data.
And that entire progression. That is the domain of artificial intelligence now. AI owns that pipeline.
It's just better at it.
Way better.
Yeah.
It processes almost incomprehensible amounts of data, it identifies patterns, generates options, and it performs repetitive work with remarkable speed and just total consistency.
So to ground this a bit, let's look at the context provided by our sources in the architecture, engineering, and construction industry, the AEC sector.
Perfect example.
Because for those who aren't architects or engineers, you can think of building information modeling, or BIM, as the ultimate digital sandbox.
I like that. A digital sandbox.
Yeah, it's where these massive multi-million-dollar construction projects are designed, coordinated, and tested in a virtual space way before a single actual shovel hits the dirt.
And in that digital sandbox, AI is completely taking over tasks that used to consume countless hours of highly skilled human labor.
Like what, specifically?
Well, we are talking about automated model checking and something called clash detection.
Which is such a great term, by the way, clash detection.
It really is.
That's basically the software figuring out if a digital plumbing pipe is accidentally running straight through a digital steel support beam, right?
And that is the core of it, yeah. Historically, human beings had to manually cross-reference hundreds of blueprints just to find those errors.
Sounds exhausting.
It was. But now, an algorithm does it in seconds. The AI also handles quantity takeoffs, so instantly calculating exactly how many tons of concrete or miles of wire are needed for the whole project.
Wow.
It optimizes the construction schedule. It even checks code compliance, like verifying instantly if the hallways in the 3D model are wide enough to meet local fire safety regulations.
And because the machine can do all of that instantly, it means those execution skills are becoming standard. They're becoming commoditized.
Exactly.
If software can verify fire code compliance in 3 seconds, your human ability to do it in a week, well, it's no longer a premium, highly paid skill.
Right. And what's fascinating here is that when you look at the data, Massive construction projects rarely fail because the software wasn't intelligent enough.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, a hospital doesn't go $50 million over budget and fall 3 years behind schedule because the clash detection algorithm missed a pipe.
I love this, and it actually makes me think of an analogy. You can compare AI right now to this hyper-efficient, superhuman sous chef.
Okay, a sous chef.
Yeah. Imagine a sous chef who can chop 10,000 onions perfectly into exact millimeter cubes in 1 second flat.
That is definitely superhuman.
Right. That is execution. That is the entire right side of the diamond. But, and here's the catch, that super sous chef doesn't know why we are making soup today.
Exactly.
It doesn't know who we are feeding. It doesn't know what the weather is outside, or if the guests have allergies, or if onions are even in season.
It just chops.
It just chops. But hold on, I need to stop and push back slightly here.
Sure.
If this AI sous chef handles all the execution, all the chopping, all the scheduling, all the compliance, aren't we just left sitting around the kitchen with absolutely nothing to do?
That is the natural fear everyone has when they see the onion chopped in 1 second. It's like, what is my purpose now?
Yeah, exactly.
But if the machine handles all that mechanical execution, what is left over is everything that actually makes a project or a business or a community successful.
The actual cooking.
Right. And that brings us to the left side of the diamond process cycle.
Okay, let's unpack this. What is on the left side?
So the left side of the diamond is labeled the invasive aspect. Where the right side is entirely about calculation and scale, the left side is all about reflection, judgment, and uniquely human skills.
Okay, so what are the specific steps here?
It involves character, so your values, ethics, empathy, and integrity. It involves your ability to learn through curiosity and wisdom.
Not just gathering data, but actual wisdom.
Exactly. It requires deep reflection, understanding context and meaning, and ultimately it culminates in the ability to assess a situation, exercising true discernment and responsibility to build trust and community.
Which connects back to why things actually fail in the real world. Like you said, that hospital project doesn't go over budget because of the software.
No, it fails because people misunderstand one another.
Right. Assumptions go totally unchallenged in meetings. Decisions are made quickly without sufficient reflection on the long-term impacts, and the relationships between the different contracting teams completely break down.
You're hitting on the core tension here. Let's look at those BIM professionals again.
Okay.
Our sources point out that building information modeling at its heart has never actually been about just creating cool 3D digital models.
Really?
Yeah. The software is just a tool. The true underlying purpose of BIM is improving human collaboration. The technology connects the information, but it is the people who have to connect the disciplines.
Ah, so the architect still has to connect with the structural engineer.
Exactly.
Who still has to negotiate with the general contractor. The software just holds the data they use to have those arguments and reach those compromises.
So as AI automates the modeling tasks on the right side of the diamond, these professionals are handed this incredible opportunity.
Because they have more time.
Yes, they can move further up the value chain. They're going to spend significantly less time producing raw information and significantly more time interpreting what that information means for the client. Less time managing the software and more time leading the people. Our sources refer to this critical skill as relational intelligence.
Relational intelligence. I like that a lot.
That's a great term.
It is rapidly becoming one of the defining competencies of the information age. The future leaders aren't the ones who can model a building the fastest. They're the ones who can build trust with clients, contractors, and city councils.
Precisely.
But I have to interrupt with some genuine confusion here.
Go for it.
These left side skills, character, wisdom, reflection, they sound amazing in theory. But you can't just install a wisdom update into a 25-year-old project manager. You can't just download Character 2.0.
I wish we could, but no.
So how are we supposed to pivot to these deep human skills when our entire educational system and corporate culture are built entirely on teaching technical skills?
That is the most urgent question we face. And it highlights a massive underlying problem that our sources bring to light, which we assume that because our technology is getting incredibly smart, we are getting smarter too. But the reality is, our foundational HUMI skills might actually be regressing. We are facing a severe literacy crisis globally.
And the sources provide a really sobering statistic to back this up, pulling from a recent World Bank report.
Yes, the World Bank reports that approximately 80% of children in many low and middle-income countries cannot read for meaning and understand a simple text by age 10.
Wait, 80%.
80%.
That is staggering. And I think we need to be clear about what reading for meaning actually implies here.
Right, it's an important distinction.
It doesn't just mean they struggle to pronounce the words on the page out loud. It means they cannot comprehend the underlying meaning, the subtext, or the intent behind the text.
Exactly.
Think about your own inbox at work. Have you ever received an automated report, skimmed the summary, and just accepted it as absolute truth without actually interrogating the data?
I think we've all done that at some point.
That is the literacy crisis happening at the corporate level. Why is this specific metric so dangerous in an AI-driven world?
Because reading for comprehension is the absolute bedrock of critical thinking. Let's trace the cascade of how this plays out psychologically, as outlined in our sources.
Okay, trace it for us.
If you do not have comprehension, there can be little to no reflection. You cannot deeply consider or weigh the merits of an idea you don't fully understand in the first place.
That makes perfect sense. You're just taking it at face value.
Right. And without reflection, there is no discernment. You lose the internal ability to judge whether a piece of information is true, false, helpful, biased, or genuinely harmful.
And once you lose discernment...
When you lose discernment, you lose your agency. When humans cannot question information deeply, they become incredibly easy to manipulate. They become highly vulnerable to systems, to algorithms, to media narratives, and to the organizations that control those things.
Oh, wow.
In that scenario, instead of AI being a tool for human empowerment, it becomes a source of absolute dependency.
This reminds me of putting a Formula One engine into a golf cart.
Oh, I like that visual.
Right. The AI is the Formula One engine. It has unbelievable power, speed, and capability. But we are dropping it into the chassis of a golf cart, which represents our current baseline level of social maturity and critical thinking.
The engine's just going to tear that cart apart the second you hit the gas.
Exactly. We don't have the structural integrity or the steering mechanism to handle that kind of raw power. So if our baseline critical thinking is lagging this far behind the technology, how do we upgrade the golf cart so we don't inevitably crash?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it becomes clear that the technology itself is not the actual problem we need to solve. Human maturity is the problem.
Human maturity.
Yes. Fixing this requires a fundamental, radical shift in what we consider education and literacy in the modern age. We have to actively raise our social maturity to a level where we are the ones directing the AI, rather than the AI directing us.
And the sources don't just leave us with the problem, they actually lay out a blueprint.
They do.
They detail 5 specific literacies required to raise that social maturity and ensure humans stay firmly in the driver's seat.
Let's walk through what these actually mean in practice.
Yeah, let's do it. So the first is critical literacy, which is essentially reading, questioning, and making meaning out of the noise.
Right, the bedrock we were just talking about.
Exactly. The second is emotional literacy. So that's a deep, nuanced understanding of your own triggers and the emotions of the people you work with.
Then you have ethical literacy. And this isn't just a vague concept of knowing right from wrong. In an AI context, ethical literacy is a mechanism.
How so? Give us an example.
Well, imagine an algorithm generates a perfectly optimized delivery schedule for a fleet of trucks. It saves the company 20% in fuel costs.
Sounds great on paper.
Right. But an ethically literate human looks at that schedule and realizes, wait, this algorithm has completely removed all safety buffers and rest times for our drivers to achieve this efficiency.
Ah, I see.
Ethical literacy is the capacity to override the machine's efficiency in favor of human well-being.
That is a brilliant distinction. It's the human checking the math, not for accuracy, but for morality.
Exactly.
And the final 2 are digital literacy, which means understanding how these AI systems actually work behind the scenes so you aren't fooled by them, and civic literacy, which is the ability to actively participate in shaping the future of your community rather than just being a passive consumer of it.
And here's where it gets really interesting for anyone listening, because this entirely changes the paradigm of your career path.
Oh, absolutely.
The sources point out that the way companies train their employees, you know, those standard professional development workshops we all have to sit through.
That's with the bad coffee.
Those exact ones. That entire system has to shift. For decades, corporate training has been entirely focused on teaching people to perform technical tasks. We train them to operate the right side of the diamond.
Right. How to use the software, how to run the report.
But tomorrow, machines will perform those tasks better and faster. Therefore, handing an employee a manual on how to use a new software program is no longer enough. Industries must intentionally develop systems thinking, reflective practice, and stewardship.
We have to train people to be mature human beings.
Yes. Our sources call this the empowerment imperative.
The empowerment imperative. Break that down for me.
Empowerment isn't just making sure everyone has access to the latest AI tool. Having the app on your phone doesn't make you empowered.
Right.
True empowerment is having the capacity to shape how that technology is used. It is the transition from being a user of tools to a director of outcomes.
I love that. Access versus the capacity to shape. But let me stop you because I'm trying to picture this in reality.
Right.
We're talking about flipping the corporate script entirely. Moving away from training people to do technical tasks and instead training them to have character, wisdom, and ethical discernment. What does that actually look like in action? Let's say it is a Tuesday afternoon at the office. You have a team meeting at 2 o'clock. How does a company actually implement the left side of the diamond?
That is the exact scenario we need to envision. What does applying this look like on a random Tuesday?
Yeah.
First, it means actively and intentionally automating the routine. You deliberately hand over the right side execution to AI. But, and this is crucial, you don't do it just to eliminate headcount and save money.
Okay, then why do you do it?
You do it so your human employees suddenly have the calendar space and the mental bandwidth to focus on meaning and context.
Ah. You let the machine chop the 10,000 onions so the chef can actually walk out into the dining room, taste the broth, and talk to the customers about their experience.
Yes, what a perfect way to put it. And second, it means teaching reflection as a core, measurable job skill.
Yeah.
It can no longer be a nice-to-have add-on.
So how does that change that 2 o'clock meeting?
In that Tuesday meeting, instead of spending 45 minutes just reviewing the data the AI generated, you spend 5 minutes looking at the data and 40 minutes asking why the data looks that way.
Oh, wow. A complete inversion.
Exactly. You debate the ethical implications of acting on that data. You encourage pushback. Third, it means designing corporate systems that intentionally elevate human judgment rather than trying to bypass it.
So you don't just blindly trust the AI's recommendation.
Never. You never let the algorithm make the final, unreviewed call on a complex issue. You use the algorithm to give the human the widest, most accurate landscape of options, and then you rely on the human's relational intelligence to make the final judgment.
And our sources mention a really profound shift that has to accompany this, right? We need to start measuring success differently.
This is a huge piece of the puzzle.
If we continue to measure success purely by the sheer quantity of output, how many reports were generated, how many lines of code were written, the AI is always going to win, and the humans will always feel inadequate.
It's a losing game.
But if a company shifts its metrics to measure trust, relationship strength, client satisfaction, and community impact, the humans win every single time.
This raises an important question about how we view our daily responsibilities and our future career trajectories.
How so?
If you are wondering where the job security is, look at the roles that will see massive growth. They are the roles that revolve around helping people and organizations navigate complexity and make better decisions.
Like what kinds of roles?
We are looking at a massive surge in the importance of leadership, coaching, education, governance, community building, ethics management, and human-centric innovation.
Because every single one of those roles relies entirely on the left side of the diamond.
Exactly.
They all depend on trust, nuanced context, and lived human experience things an algorithm literally cannot simulate.
The core thesis running through all of these sources is incredibly optimistic once you grasp it.
It really is.
The future is not human versus machine. It is not a zero-sum competition for jobs. The future is human with machine. It is human intelligence, deeply rooted in character and wisdom, amplified by the incredible execution power of artificial intelligence.
So let's bring this all together. At the start of this deep dive, we talked about that very real anxiety of sitting at your desk, worrying about a line of code taking your job.
Right.
What we have discovered today is that AI is absolutely going to commoditize execution. It is going to completely take over the right side of the diamond process cycle. And that is actually the best thing that could happen to us.
It's a massive upgrade.
It clears the board. It removes the mechanical, soul-crushing repetition from your day so you can focus entirely on the left side of the diamond. Your character, your ability to learn, your capacity to reflect, and your judgment.
And developing your relational intelligence and raising your own social maturity isn't just good for society. It is the ultimate future-proofing tool for your career.
When you finally realize that judgment, ethics, and relational trust are going to be the rarest and most highly valued assets in an automated world, the fear of replacement starts to naturally fade away.
It really does. It is replaced by a sense of deep empowerment and clarity about where you should be spending your energy.
I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder today. Tomorrow morning, when you sit down at your desk, grab your coffee, and look at your to-do list for the day, ask yourself this.
It's a good question.
How many of the tasks on this list are just right-side execution? How much of this is mechanical work that a machine will soon be able to do for me? And more importantly, what is one left-side action I can take today? Maybe a conversation I can have or a deep question I can ask in a meeting to build the wisdom, the connection, and the trust that no algorithm will ever be able to replicate.